Do you remember a bit David Letterman used to do when his show was called Brush with Greatness?
Oh yeah, that's where people would tell a story of how they met someone famous, ran into them, and something always ridiculous would happen.
It was relatively random, but a common occurrence, and it's something that's common for our friend here, Jim Duffy, who knows all of the famous obscure people that we met here on the Eastern Shore.
Where?
Well, he's going to have to tell us. Jim, the floor is yours.
Welcome.
Welcome. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
So, brushes
Brush with greatness. So I could do this for a whole bunch of our towns, kind of probably all of our towns in a way. But I thought I'd start on my home turf of Cambridge. And if you go back 95 years, have you ever heard of the It Girl?
The It Girl.
The It Girl.
You've heard of the It Girl?
Well, I mean, I've heard the phrase, the It Girl.
It Girl.
Okay.
That phrase began because of a Hollywood movie named It, starring the gorgeous Clara Bow in the silent movie era. Everyone knew who Clara Bow was in the way that we know, even old guys like me know who Taylor Swift is. Sure. You know how we know about Taylor Swift's football-playing boyfriend and all that? Everybody knew about Clara Bow's. Clara Bow's bows. How's that? Because she broke off, are you ready? 6 engagements before she got married. Every one of them, front page news and everything else, and all her movies were absolutely huge. Now, of course, there's a connection between the two. We'll get to Cambridge soon enough, but there's a connection because Taylor Swift has a new album out, and one of the songs is titled Clara Bow. And there's a line in there that really kind of gets at who Clara Bow was. It says, this is a fake town, but you're the real thing. And that's what Clara Bow in the 1920s was. She personified all the excesses of the royal 20s, of the roaring 20s, the flappers and the jazz and the drinking and the spending. And snobs kind of didn't like her, but the real regular people loved her. But even people operating on her level of celebrity, they need a little refuge, shall we say, from the craziness. And she found a refuge that's about as far away as you could possibly get from Hollywood and New York. She found her way to Slaughter Creek, right on the edge of Taylor's Island in South Dorchester County. It was probably a New York connection that had happened. The famous New York family, the Carringtons, owned that as a hunting property. So she bought it from them and she built a lovely cabin for herself with a 3-story stone fireplace. And the oral histories on Taylor's Island, this is Prohibition times, and the oral histories are there was a whole lot of drinking going on on the banks of Slaughter Creek back in the 1920s. She eventually gave it all up and left it all behind. She married and she moved to Nevada and she ran a ranch for the rest of her life. But there's one other very cool twist to this, which is the property where that was party central for Clara Bow today is Patriot Point, which you guys have featured a number of times on this show that lets our wounded warriors come down here and kind of commune with the great outdoors here in Dorchester County. And they are doing that in the footsteps of the It Girl.
The It Girl. Okay, we actually have time for one more.
Oh, good.
Brush with
All right.
greatness.
All right, we'll jump forward to the late 1930s. And a young 11-year-old girl named Bernice Frankel moves to Cambridge with her parents. Her parents had a rough time in New York during the Depression, moved down here. They opened a clothing store, Frankel's Clothing Store, small place at first, then they moved into a much bigger place. It was kind of a big deal store. Bernice was, the people who remembered Bernice later remembered her as big and brassy and funny. She was 6 foot tall, the tallest girl in her high school. She was in all the plays. She was in bands and all that. The bridge back then, when she had just learned how to drive, was much smaller than it is now, just 2 lanes with no center divider. She got in a horrible accident on that bridge and very nearly died. And it's a very good thing that she did. And she thought for a while she was going to be a lab technician. She got a job at a hospital, and that didn't work out. And then she joined the Marines. She was actually one of the first women to ever join the Marines during World War II. She got out, she moves to New York, takes an acting class, She marries a guy with the last name of Arthur, and instead of calling herself Bernice, she starts calling herself B. And so that is B. Arthur of Golden Girls and Maude and everything else. And she got her start on the stages of high schools in Dorchester County.
Wow.
That's amazing. That is greatness right there. Jim Duffy, we have a brush with greatness every Thursday with you with our Throwback
Likewise,
Thursday.
I'm sure.
Oh, thank you so much. Looking forward to another one someday.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.